Did you know practicing rudiments is actually holding back your drumming? Well, rudiments are essential, and I teach them regularly. The way most drummers practice them restricts their freedom and creativity on the kit. So in this video, I'll show you a fresh approach that'll transform your drum practice so you can finally play what you hear in your head. Let's start by looking at the first big sign that you might be practicing rudiments in a way that limits your creativity. Here's the problem. Most drummers practice rudiments note for note exactly as they're written in the standard books. But by limiting yourself to only those traditional interpretations, you're placing massive restrictions on your creative expression. For example, a paradiddle has an accent on the first note of each group of 4 according to traditional notation, but that's not the only way to play it. Think about it like this. If you were learning a language and only knew how to say sentences with the exact same inflection every time, you would sound like a robot. Nobody would want to listen to you speak because there would be no emotion, no personality in your voice. But how do we break free from this limitation? That brings us to the first of our 3 approaches. The first technique that will instantly expand your vocabulary is displacement. This means starting the rudiment on a different note in the pattern. Let me show you how this works with a paradiddle. Traditionally, we play it like right, left, left, left. But if we shift it by just one partial, starting on the second note, it becomes left, 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 right. This is what we call an inverted paradiddle and has a completely different feel and sound when you play it. By the way, I've put together a free PDF with all the exercises we're covering today. I'll put the link below so you can grab it. Let's try shifting it again, starting on the third note. Right, left, left. And again, starting on the fourth note, which turns it into a weird version of single strokes. So here's how to practice this. Take any rudiment you know well and shift the starting point by one note. Then play that new pattern until it feels natural. Remember, that means a minimum of several days of slow, careful practice. Once you've got it, try moving it around the kit, placing different hands on different drums or cymbals, and explore. This is going to create completely different musical phrases like this. The beauty of this approach is that you're technically still practicing the rudiment, you're just discovering new melodic possibilities that wouldn't be possible if you only practiced it the traditional way. By the way, I'd love to know if you have your own ways of making rudiments more musical. Let me know below because displacement alone gives you tons of options, but there's so much more to explore, and we can go even deeper with our second technique. The second sign that you're limiting yourself is if you're only using the accents as marked in the traditional rudiment. I had a student who was frustrated because all of his fills sounded the same. He could play paradiddles perfectly, but they always had that predictable sound. I showed him this accent manipulation technique, and within one practice session, his playing transformed. By simply changing which notes he accented, he could create completely different musical phrases without learning any new stickings. Let's go back to our paradiddle. Traditionally, we accent the first note. But what happens if we accent the second note instead? Or the third? Or just the right hands? What about just the left hands? So here's a practical way to get good at this. Start with a simple rudiment like a paradiddle and play it with the traditional accents at a comfortable tempo. Next, play it with no accents completely flat. Then I want you to accent only the right hand notes. Turn those back down and accent only the left hand notes. And finally, create your own accent patterns. Mix and match and mess around and see what you can come up with. This exercise builds incredible control and, more importantly, helps you break free from the muscle memory trap where your hands can only play patterns one way. But breaking free here isn't just about dynamics, it's also about articulation. And that brings us to our third technique. The third and most powerful way to transform your rudiment practice is to connect your mantle voice, your sense of melody, with your hands. Most drummers practice with their eyes and hands, not their ears. They read the pattern on the page, their hands execute it, but their musical mind isn't fully engaged. This disconnection is why so many drummers struggle to play what they hear in their head. Think about it this way. Have you ever had a musical idea pop into your head while playing, but by the time your hands try to execute it, you have no idea how to even pull it off? That's because there's a gap between your creative brain and your physical execution. The solution is surprisingly simple. Sing while you play. Here's how to practice it. First, start with a simple rudiment like single strokes, and then as you play, vocalize a simple melody. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can just be ba-da boom bop ba ba da ba da. That's about all I've got. Then try to match what you sing with your hands. Play what you sing as accents. Then create a conversation as your hands repeat your vocal melodies. Finally, I want you to sing and accent your made-up melodies at the same time. This exercise creates neural connections between different areas of your brain. You're literally building pathways between the creative language centers of your mind and your physical execution with your hands. When you practice this way, something magical happens. Your rudiments stop sounding like exercises and start sounding like music. Now let's put all three techniques together into the final challenge. We're going to go through a step-by-step process for taking a basic rudiment and transforming it into something musical. And don't forget to download the free PDF of the exercises, by the way. I'll put the link below for you to grab it. Let's use a simple variation of the paradiddle. It's right, left, left, right, left. So it's slightly different. I want you to first place your left hand on the snare drum and move your right hand around the kit. Try the hi-hat, the ride, the toms. Notice how different placements create completely different musical phrases. Don't forget to move your left hand around too when you're ready. Next, move your right hand around or keep it on one voice. You'll get different melodic ideas and get both hands playing very quietly. Then, while you keep the pattern going, I want you to gradually increase the volume of just your right hand to full volume, then back down. Then you do that same crescendo and decrescendo with your left hand. Finally, try bringing up only certain notes in the pattern. Next, experiment with different articulations. Add buzz strokes to some of the notes, add diddles to others. Try playing some notes on the rim instead of the head of the drum. Or one of my favorites, mix up some of those ghost notes with some shallow rim shots. And now we're going to turn it into a groove. I want you to place your right hand on the hi-hat, keep your left hand on the snare playing ghost notes. Every other time you play this pattern, move the first right hand only to the snare for an accent. Then you can start adding your kick drum underneath in a few different places. Okay, let's turn that into a fill. Move your right hand to the toms, keep the same sticking pattern, and then back to the hi-hat. I want you to experiment with different accents and articulations while you do this, both in the groove and during the fill. The key is to listen for moments that make you go, oh, that sounds cool. How do you use these approaches in your regular practice so you actually see results? The most important thing you can do with these techniques is to develop your own unique style. Don't just copy me. Here's a practice routine that incorporates all three techniques. For 5 minutes, take any single pattern and practice moving the accents on that pattern. Spend the next 5 minutes practicing singing while you play, connecting your inner voice to your hands. And then do 10 minutes of just free exploration around the kit, moving around the whole drum set, trying different combinations, get experimental and see what comes out. Then I want you to record yourself and listen back. The goal isn't to master every possible combination. It's to find those magical moments that resonate for you, patterns and phrases that feel like they're truly yours. When you find something you love, record it. I used to do this way before we could do that with our phones. I want you to come back to the next day and develop it even further. This is how you build your own drumming vocabulary. What we're really developing here is fluidity, the ability to move freely between ideas without hesitation. When you practice rudiments and other patterns with these three approaches, you're building the neural pathways that allow you for true spontaneous expression. Imagine being able to play exactly what you hear in your head the moment you hear it. That's the freedom these techniques develop, but only once you stop practicing rudiments as rigid note for note exercises and start having fun on the kit. But your hands aren't going to do what you tell them to do if you don't have solid technique in the first place. And without good technique, this whole video is kind of pointless. So watch this video next, where I'll show you how to put together a practice plan that finally has you making consistent progress.